Back in October of 2006, the college Republicans at SFSU held an anti-terrorism protest, as part of which they drew copies of the Hamas and Hezbollah flags on pieces of paper and stepped on them.
What we decided to do was have what we called an anti-terrorism rally. And part of that was to use a form of communication, a form of speech that is used in the Middle East to go against the United States, which is, of course, lighting our flag on fire, to express how we feel about these terrorist organizations, which is exactly what we did by stepping on these flags. Then what transpired from there is some Muslim students decided that they were going to take issue with this, predominantly because the name of God is inscribed on the flags.
And the university actually put the college Republicans on trial within the university for this act of stepping on these flags.
They're going to be charged with incitement, harassment, and acts of incivility for stomping on these flags. They couldn't believe it, and they contacted fire for help.
I don't even know where to start. You know, you hear the sanction, you're busy worrying about a biology final, and suddenly your campus wants you to come in and defend your actions when you stepped on the flag of a terrorist organization. Where do you even begin? You know, there's just nowhere to start.
SFSU is a public university, and the Supreme Court has held in a very well-known opinion that flag desecration as part of a political protest is constitutionally protected expression.
In America, it's legal to burn the American flag, therefore it's obviously legal to stomp on the flags of terrorist organizations or any other country.
This is the flag that they were so upset about that they couldn't believe that we were standing on, right here. And one of the first things we did when the Muslim students initially approached us about how upset they were that we were stepping on the name of God is we said, well, look, you know, we're only here to speak out against terrorism. We're not here to offend Muslim students. It doesn't make any difference to us. We can still, you know, disrespect Hamas, which is our goal because they don't deserve any respect as a terrorist organization. So we actually allowed them to modify the part of the flag that has the Arabic symbol for God. Now remember, this symbol isn't specific to just the Muslim God. It's just like G-O-D is in our language. It's just the spelling of God. And that, I guess, is right here. I obviously don't write or speak Arabic, so, and none of us do. We literally pulled a picture off of Google, and as you can see, just sort of went for it as close as we can get it. Apparently it was close enough to upset people, and stepping on this flag is what started the whole investigation.
SFSU did not have a legal leg to stand on, and we wrote them and told them as much, as did the ACLU of Northern California.
Fire was on it. Fire sent them, I don't know the total number, but it seemed like it was practically a letter every week that they were sending the administration saying, drop this case, you need to end it now, this is even more of an embarrassment. And they got the media involved, which I think was the key thing. The San Francisco Chronicle ran a story about it.
San Francisco State University actually said that the reason they had been charged is because they were desecrating the name of Allah, which was really shocking to us because what you have is then a state university, part of the California state government, actually enforcing what amounted to a blasphemy law.
We take advantage of the fact that universities can't often defend in public what they do in private.
They have an Achilles heel that fire has always known how to exploit. The Achilles heel can be put very simply. They cannot say and they cannot defend in public what they actually believe and what they actually do. You couldn't ask for an opponent, however powerful, with a more inviting vulnerability.
We send universities a letter. We tell them what our understanding of the facts is, ask them to correct our understanding of the facts if we got them wrong. We give them an explanation of what the law is and how it protects free speech, what the principles are and how they protect free speech, and a little bit of a preview of how this case might actually look if we were to take it to the press. Now, I think we're doing universities a favor when we do this. We're giving them a chance to undo what they've done wrong. And when universities quickly undo what they've done wrong, we're quite nice to them. We do victory press releases where we commend the university for their quick action. But it's amazing to me how often universities are willing to wait till we take a really outrageous case public. Because in addition to violating the First Amendment or the principles of academic freedom, in so many of these cases, they just get skewered in the press because it is ridiculous. Because some of these abuses are absolutely stupid and absurd. So I really wish universities would take advantage of that initial letter that we send them, because we're happy to work with them if they're willing to do the right thing. But if you have one of these absurd cases and it goes public, this is going to be all over the national news.
The students ended up being acquitted, and when I say acquitted, I mean I'm talking about within the university's judicial process. I mean, obviously this is not something that could ever, happen in a real court of law in the United States. But SFSU thought it was above the law and put these students on trial within their own system.
Yeah, we're not guilty, but we're not guilty of what? We're not guilty of something that shouldn't even be an investigation criteria. To say that an act of incivility is something that you can get thrown off campus for, well, what's an act of incivility? They didn't really outline it for us. There's no guideline for what's civil and what's not, because obviously, what I find civil, someone else might find uncivil, and vice versa. So it's just this arbitrary speech policy that they can use to railroad groups they don't like. And all they say is, well, we're just enforcing policy. We're just following procedure. Yeah. You can't expect us to stop the investigation. We have to do this. It's policy and procedure. Well, if your policy and procedure is unconstitutional, there's a problem there. And they refused to address that problem, which is why in the end, they were very much embarrassed by this whole investigation.
Free speech should not be investigated in the first place, and the investigation itself was a wrong committed against these students.
Prior to the existence of FIRE, university councils would be in a position where they would get stuck with frivolous harassment suits for basic, in some cases maybe loudish or boorish speech, but nothing even close to harassment. And they weren't getting any pressure from the other side, really, to protect free speech. And faced with that analysis, they were saying, well, we could lose $100,000 in a frivolous lawsuit just in settling it, or we have no consequence for banning substantial swaths of protected speech. What FIRE is trying to do is to switch that cost-benefits analysis to make it more difficult for universities to censor. Because if there's no counterforce, then unfortunately, too often, free speech is what suffers. The way to get in touch with FIRE is to submit a case on our website. There's a big button right at the top of it that says Submit a Case, and we ask you to summarize the case, and we will get back to you as quickly as we can and ask for additional documentation. The best favor they can do themselves is document it to the best of their ability. Talk to other students who've seen it, talk to the administrators to really verify what they've said. Make sure that sometimes sending an email to an administrator and saying, did I understand this correctly? Did you actually just tell me that I can be brought up on harassment charges for my op-ed? Follow up. And you'd be amazed or probably disappointed how often administrators are proud to write, yes, absolutely, I said you could be brought up on harassment charges for what you said in your op-ed. And it really is kind of stunning. But once you have that kind of material, then FIRE is in a very strong position to advocate on your behalf. I mean, FIRE, in many senses, is an organization that would love to put itself out of business. We would love for there to be a new blossoming of liberty on campus that would suddenly obviate the need for an organization like FIRE. I don't see it happening anytime that soon, but at the same time, if we could actually bring liberty back to campus, actually make this a popular, even hip idea that essentially free speech and individuality are things that should be respected, we'd be perfectly happy to close our doors.